welcome to another episode of O365Eh. In our last episode, we covered 90 days of features in 20 minutes. And then last week, the Sharepoint Conference 2019 happened, where there's still a massive amount of features that were announced. So we're going to cover some of the major announcements in this episode. So one of the main ones that has come out is the new file sync feature in Microsoft Teams. So what this does is it allows you to go to a specific channel and sync the document library utilizing OneDrive. So I think this is a really cool feature. The reason being is that you have now the ability to work with these particular files on your file system. You're no longer required to go into Microsoft Teams and edit in SharePoint or edit in Word edit in PowerPoint, etc. So everything is local to your file system. When you make the edits and adjustments, it's automatically uploaded utilizing OneDrive there. So that's I think that's a really cool feature and a much needed feature as well, especially if you're doing a lot of document management. And then the next feature that I want to talk about is the Files tab. So being able to extend the Files tab within Microsoft Teams, so in a particular channel, being able to customize the columns, the sorting and the filters, conditional formatting. So really what's new is there's this new All Documents button in the right-hand corner that you'll be able to hit, and then there's an edit view. And then what will happen is it'll open up the Team SharePoint site in the customize view. And it's really the traditional SharePoint customization view where you have like as mentioned, the ability to edit columns and so on and so forth. But along with, if you do know how to develop some JSON, you can also customize a JSON format and upload it into the view to customize the view itself. So this is a really cool feature, so that now you can bring that really rich SharePoint type formatting and customization right within the Files tab. So you have that ability there. So I think what I'll do is I'll pass it over to Michael.
Sure. Yeah. So also shown at the SharePoint conference was a little bit more details around the shareable file links with permissions, and that's coming to Teams this June. And we talked about it last episode, kind of in our announcements. And this is going to replace the copy links option that prompts either a Teams link or a SharePoint link. And so now you're going to be able to go to any file within Teams and create this shareable link. And then you'll have that same experience of doing that in SharePoint or in OneDrive. So you'll have the option to say, anyone with this link can access this file, or people in my organization, or people with existing access, or specific people. And then you have the ability to control if that file will be editable, or even if it can be downloaded. And if you take that link and you actually put it into a conversation, it'll actually render that chiclet or little preview thumbnail. So that's going to be a welcome addition to that, and keeping that experience across all the workloads. Now, one thing that wasn't announced at the SharePoint conference, but it was announced last week in the Message Center, was around Teams coming to existing installations of Office Click to Run. So before, for the last few months, if you installed a brand new version of Click to Run, you would get that Teams application as well. Now this is being extended to the existing install base. So if you have the Teams client will be installed with the Office 365 Business Premium, as well as Pro Plus. So you're going to probably need some training around that if that's starting to surface in front of your users. You can block it if you're using the Click to Run customization XML. But I mean, don't block Teams. Make sure you embrace it. That's definitely my recommendation. But we'll see how that lands as end users start getting a new workload showing up on their desktops, maybe while organizations are piloting or looking at how they're going to roll out Teams. So maybe I'll pass it over to Kurt to talk about some new functionality that is rolling into Teams for apps.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. There's a couple of really interesting announcements that weren't part of the SharePoint conference, but just came out recently in terms of capabilities in Teams. One of them is around Microsoft Planner, which of course is a planning application which enables teams to create plans, assemble and assign tasks, and manage all of that. With the announcement that just came out, I think it was about a week ago, it enables users to stay on top of teamwork in Planner right inside of Teams without having to leave Teams. So for you to get these Planner task assignment notifications directly in Teams, you do have to have had added Planner as a tab in Teams, like you would have before this announcement came out. And also, reading the announcement, it said you must be an Office 365 enterprise or education customer. So I don't know if it's coming to the business Office 365 SKUs. But once this is lit up, once again, when there's an assignment for you in Planner, it'll appear in your Teams activity feed and in the Teams chat pane. It'll include all the details of your task assignment in Planner, including, the task title, who the task was assigned to, which plan the task belongs to, and a link so you can click on it and open up the Planner task details right inside of Teams. So I think this will just make it easier to use Planner within Teams, and should be wonderful for people who have adopted Teams and use Planner for all their task management. One of the other applications that was sort of really interesting to me, because I work in software development, is there's a new app coming to Teams for Azure DevOps, specifically for Azure Pipelines. And it's called the Azure Pipelines app. And you can install it right from the Microsoft Teams App Store. And when you do that, it allows you to keep tabs and monitor your Azure pipelines directly from Teams. So if you've ever been involved in software development, especially large, complex projects, there's something called pipelines, which are a series of steps needed to build or release the software. And you can imagine with a large software development project, things change so much, pipelines break quite often. So with this app, it allows you to monitor various pipelines, like your build pipeline, your release pipeline. Maybe you have another pipeline used to release your software to a staging environment. This app allows you to stay on top of the status of those pipelines right inside of a Teams channel. And the real advantage I see of this, if you're, again, software development shop and you're using Microsoft Teams, not only can you monitor that pipeline, those pipelines directly from Teams, when something breaks, you can now collaborate inside of Teams to fix it, find out who's responsible, and talk about how to fix it. So that'll be really interesting to use. And now I'll turn it over to Dino, who has some things to say about search in Teams.
Yeah, thanks, Kurt. So with Microsoft Search, lot of new functionality coming to the Microsoft Search space. At Ignite, they announced that Search was coming to Teams, but there was virtually no details on that. So at SBC, a few more were released. I'm just going to talk about a couple of them, just to highlight a few. So the suggestions as you type functionality. So this is when you're in the search bar and you're typing, and as you're typing, you're getting relevant suggestions just with a few keystrokes. And this is always great to have that capability, because you'll get things that are relevant to what you're searching for, and then possibly, and a lot of times it happens that you get results you may not have considered. So it really improves and enriches that search functionality. Next one is personalized results depending on the app you're in. So think of a user getting users' locations. If you're searching for them in Maps and then getting documents that the author have been searching that same user in another Office app. So it will be interesting to see how they roll that into the team search capability as well. On that same note, improved people search. You'll be able to see, contacts, colleagues' contact information, and when you look up a person's name, conversations, events that you may, or files that you may have in common with that user. And then right from that adaptive card, you'll be able to start a Teams conversation or call them. So that's going to be interesting to see. Next would be task completion. So again, think you're embedding an image to a document. The search will now present you options relevant to editing that document. So whether that's cropping or rotating it. So really cool contextual based ability in terms of completing tasks. I say that there's much more coming within the various Microsoft apps. So it'll be interesting to see how that functionality is exposed to when you're searching from within Teams. So keep your eyes open for that, and certainly if there's interest, maybe we'll dedicate a whole podcast just to search in the future. So with that, I'll send it over back to Hab.
Yeah, thanks, guys. So I just wanted to maybe add one thing to what Michael mentioned about the Office Click to Run. One thing that I like to recommend when working with my clients is, I know if they're going to be moving over to a Teams only mode, but with the Click to Run, I always recommend still installing the Skype for Business client, because I feel that it gives the client the best experience if they are receiving a meeting request for Skype for Business, rather than utilizing the Skype web application. So that was just one addition that I like to recommend during those deployments. And that being said, I think that was a really good session. Definitely a lot of information still coming out. So we had to, as the previous session, go to a few different locations to find all this data that we're presenting to you. So I'll be definitely putting that in the blog post as well. So look for the links inside there. So we're able to go to all these different locations and get it all into one central place. So anyways, thanks everyone for listening in. And again, if you have any requests, feel free to hit us up on Twitter for any questions or concerns or any new podcasts you want us to have on a topic. We'd be happy to provide that. So anyways, thanks again for listening in, and hopefully we'll catch you on the next episode.
See ya.
Thanks. See you later.